is Wednesday, my dudes.
Welcome to another episode of Wednesday Toast, a podcast about comic book stuff where we talk about all kinds of comic book related stuff. My name is Lex, and I'm here with my co-host with the most toast, Simon. Simon, what's up?
What's up?
So, typically, we record the show live, and then I have a week to edit it, and I wait until the day before to edit it as usual to put it out on Wednesday. But then Simon told me that he was going to see Captain America: Brave New World, and if you know about anything that's going on with this movie, I'm going to review it with him before people forget about it, before they're on to the next thing that they're mad about. And so what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to review it, and then I'm just going to put it straight on the internet right afterwards. No edits. So if you are in the live lurking, I'll probably ignore the comments to save myself some editing. I apologize ahead of time.
We're watching, but yeah, it's always like we're mid conversation. It's like, what? Who?
Yeah, they are appreciated, but it's already like 9-ish, and I don't want to spend the next 2 hours chopping out every little oh man, did you see that? I don't do that. So I apologize as an afterthought. Listen to this later if you get offended by me not reading your comment. But yeah, so in typical fashion, if you want to check out the live shows, subscribe to the YouTube channel Wednesday Toast, and that's the only time you get to see the full episode. Even on this one, we've been talking for like 37 minutes. On the live show, you've gotten like 40 more minutes of an episode. So if that ended, a lot of it's like me and Simon talking about our dogs beating the shit out of us and stuff like that. But it's entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, beating the shit out of us. You heard it. You heard it right.
So, as I mentioned on this week's episode, we were talking about Captain America: Brave New World. If you are chronically online, you are aware of sort of the interesting reviews. It almost doesn't. It feels weird to me. It's. I don't know if I have seen a movie so split in a long time, and none of them really comes to mind as this, right? The early reviews for the movie were just out of the park negative, bombed. This movie was the worst movie ever made. Some people were saying it's the worst MCU movie ever, the worst comic book movie ever.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm thinking like this is before I saw it, I was like, this is crazy. Like this movie can't be that bad, right? I know there are things before this. There were talks of crazy reshoots. We'll talk about that because that was debunked. It was like it was more so the strikes happened in the middle of it. That was more so like instead of being extensive reshoots, they had the same amount of reshoots that any movie has, but they just threw a strike in the middle of it.
I see.
And then
excuse me.
It had the Sabra character, which a lot of people, with everything going on in the world, her being an Israeli sort of super spy, people were kind of apprehensive about that. So I knew that this movie had some challenges going into it, but those first reviews, I went into the movie theater, and maybe it helped me with my review of it, but I was like, this is about to be Madam Web level bad, right?
I had no. The only bad movie that I've seen in a long time is like Daredevil. So I have not watched any of the like really bad movies that people are comparing this to.
You didn't watch Morbius?
No.
Oh wow, you and I got some movies to watch.
I'm not gonna pay money to go see one of those movies in the theater.
You haven't watched you watched Venom. I watched
Venom 1 and 2, but I did not see 3 in the theater.
I didn't see 3 either. I'm trying to think of, I know you didn't watch Fantastic Four, the bad one.
I didn't watch Fantastic Four or Madam Web.
I wanted you to watch that Fantastic Four stick movie. but no, it's
And four stick.
yeah. So they say that it's the worst movie, and they say Madam Web is better than it. Suicide Squad. You saw Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
the first one.
Mhm.
They're saying that Captain America: Brave New World was worse than that movie, right? That movie was barely a movie, and so I was just so
You're talking
confused, right?
about the
The David Ayers one,
yeah,
the
just Suicide Squad, not the
Suicide Squad. So I was just confused going into this movie. I was like, okay, I really hope it's not that bad. First Sam Wilson, black lead, his first lead, like big lead movie. I really don't want I want anybody's movie to bomb, right? But there's something about this movie that people are already saying, the whole "not my Captain America" thing. So I out of spite, I wanted to do at least break even, just out of spite.
Yeah.
I was never even a huge fan of Anthony Mackie as Falcon. I always thought he was like just okay character. He was fine.
Yeah. You know what I don't like about Anthony? This is very surface level, but I don't like his combo.
I asked my wife, whatever, and Anthony Mackie, if you watch this, I apologize to you.
Yeah, I mean, you're great.
My wife and I agree that you're a handsome fella, but she's like, he just has such a pointy chin, and it's just like comes down, and then his goatee makes it look even pointier.
There's a scene, and I was reminded of this recently because I watched this like weird video essay about all the Police Academy movies. But you remember there was like the sergeant that was like trying to whip him into shape. He's like the kind of an asshole. And at one of the movies, he puts the bullhorn up to his mouth and then takes it down. And Mahoney had like put the thing in there and made a ring on his mouth. That's what his combo looks like.
Yeah, very surface level. That was another thing. I was like, that's a weird review, but whatever. If you take away what you take away from it. But yeah, lots of things going into it. And I saw the movie and I was just like, even more confused after watching it. And then that led into like days of me sort of fighting people online in a very like passive way. I just post something that I know would piss people off and then scurry away back into the real world. It's like I feel like a bad guy in the show Reboot. Like completely self-aware that I exist in the real world, but I would go into this digital world and just like destroy something and then go back into the real world like it doesn't exist. So if you don't know what Reboot is, it's a world famous Canadian TV show.
Forgot about that. It was a precursor to Beast Wars. I'm only going to take a quick break. You can cut this out or not, or whatever. I just want to acknowledge people in the chat. Thank you. I posted something in one of my groups, so they're here for our support. Thank you for being here. Anyway, we're trying to cut through this so we can cut it into a podcast, just so you know. So
yeah, we typically don't do that. We typically just take all the time to throw the comments up and everything. But I'm being lazy with this episode. Okay, so let me talk. We kind of talked about the controversy with the movie. I will do a little brief synopsis of Captain America: Brave New World. No spoil. We'll try to keep the spoilers to a very minimum, and we'll let you know. I think if we go into a territory where it will ruin something for you.
But, yeah, I mean, honestly, so just to preface that, I feel like there's only one or two reveals that are that
weren't in the trailers.
Yeah, that weren't in the trailer. So even like the biggest twist is in the damn trailer.
We could probably just not talk about the mid-credit scene. And that's really, and even that is not even that big of a deal, I think.
No, I could definitely, that is nothing. We could just say a character instead of naming someone.
Yeah. Captain America: Brave New World, 2025 superhero film by Marvel Comics, centered around Sam Wilson. It's a continuation from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, which I really liked. I know it's another show that had kind of mixed reviews, but it was one of the last shows that I watched like as it was coming out, I think.
Mm.
Maybe She-Hulk. maybe Miss Marvel, whatever. Those are like the last three that I kind of like watched every week as they were dropping.
I will give it the benefit of like that was when those were still fresh, when that was still happening.
Yeah. Yeah. It stars Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Danny Ramirez, Shira Haas, the amazing, one of my all-time favorite actors, Carl Lumbly. He played Mantis as this character that a lot of people don't know about, that I love so much when I was a kid.
Mantis?
Yeah, it was a character named Mantis. It was such a zany show. It was actually created. It was created by the dude that did Spider-Man. What the fuck is his name? Sam Raimi?
Stan Lee. Yeah, maybe
Sam Raimi in the 90s. So if you have a chance, check out Mantis. It's really, really good.
Big Sony producer guy.
In the context of really 90s, 80s being really good. So
just want to like this cat. See that? I was petting her and she bit me.
Yeah, cats suck, man.
Anyway, sorry.
I always put mine in the microwave when he's acting.
Just to dry.
I don't turn it on.
Make sure it's unplugged.
Yeah, I don't turn it on. You're a monster.
Okay.
And it had the amazing Giancarlo Esposito and some other characters that might be spoilers. Harrison Ford was also in it, and if you know me, I've recently found out about this actor Harrison Ford, and becoming a fan.
Yeah, he's great. The last couple of things I've seen him in Shrinking, and then this. Yeah, I'm really convinced. I kind of want to go to his backlog if he's got one.
He should be in more stuff. I don't know why. Maybe he will after this. Maybe the success of the MCU will put this guy on the map.
It's kind of crazy that he's starting so old, though.
Yeah, I heard he was a carpenter years ago, and then he did some small-time plays.
Like Jesus?
Yeah. So this review this synopsis that I have is just littered with it's just the entire movie. So basically a continuation from Falcon and Winter Soldier. Anthony Mackie is Cap now, and it seems like the world of the MCU doesn't have the same disposition of like not my Captain America as the real world.
Yeah, weird,
The world of the MCU is like, oh hell yeah, that's Captain America. But he's cool. Like everybody is like, hell yeah, that guy's great. We love him. He's, I think the president has one moment where he's like, son, he's like, whoa, hold on, you're pushing it.
Yeah, and even in my head, just to go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
If I'm a white dude, so in my opinion, yes, I would get kind of pissed off if an adult called me that in that tone.
Yeah.
And I know that the connotation is different. Yeah. But at the same time, I was like, is he just saying that because he's like a general? Because I feel like that's former.
I think he was, but I think it was them also playing it safe. You know what I mean? Like, they could have went with boy, but then it would have been like, whoa.
Yeah, that's like irredeemable.
Yeah, Harrison Ford probably like, hey guys, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's kind of that's irredeemable racism. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if somebody calls somebody boy, it's like, maybe he's not too bad in the end.
He's like, did you? It's like, hey, did you see that Jeep commercial I just did where I talked about how I love everybody? No one's gonna believe me anymore if I'm calling people boy on these big budget movies. And yeah, and I don't know. Okay, I'm thinking about it in real time, right? Going back over this movie, and I liked it, right? I'm not going to go into that synopsis. That's pretty much what it is. It was polarizing, the reactions, as I mentioned.
Yeah, weird.
Very strange. Very, very strange. I mean, review bombed. And I don't give a shit about Rotten Tomatoes. I don't give a shit about Cinema Score or whatever the other one is. IGN, terrible. But they all were like very just like rapid fire posting about how bad this movie is, rating it at like 49. It got the lowest rating Cinema Score out of any Marvel movie, which is just ridiculous when like Love and Thunder was barely a movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Black
Yeah.
Widow was fine, but it was also like, what are we doing here?
Black Widow was weird. It was weird.
Yeah.
And I know it hit at like a weird time, so it's hard to
It came
say.
at a weird time.
Yeah, it's hard to be like, oh, that was forgettable because yes,
Yeah.
the world was burning. But
Yeah. And it was like oh yeah, we should have done Black Widow movie with the rest of these people when we did their first movies, but here it is after she's dead. Hope you care about it.
The most that movie did, I think, was just introduce like the red womb, which I mean they talk about in this movie.
And Yelena, they're kind of pretty much just like subbed in the White Widow for the Black Widow.
I'm for it. I'm for both of them.
Yeah, all right. I went to this movie to continue my earlier thought. I went into this movie and I was just, it was honestly refreshing for me when I left. I was like, we've been so bogged down over this past phase, and I'm not even one of the people that are like, this phase sucks. It's just that it's been sort of convoluted with multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're doing this in the multiverse and it's connected. It's kind of like overcomplicated things with the connections that people love so much and the cameos and the multiverse.
Pause for applause situations.
Yeah, so much of that this movie, it really didn't. It had a little bit of it at the end, but it really didn't have any of that. It was just kind of like almost felt like a standalone movie.
Yeah. Yeah. That was nice because it's just him. I mean, he's got his team, but it's just about him and his team. It's not about like, hey, let me call who.
Yeah. It's interesting that people are saying comparing this as like it's the worst Cap movie because in my opinion, it honestly feels like yes, they have the same name, but it feels like a different set of like it should be its own thing. It should be its own category, right?
I agree. Yeah, it's number one.
It's the first this Cap movie.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I feel like it's not fair to do that. I mean, you don't. I guess people compare the Spider-Man movies unilaterally, so it's hard to say that people don't do that across other genre or whatever. Like, how does Tom Holland weigh against? But it is silly because it's like they're trying to do their own thing, and to compare them to something that failed is like they quit making those. So
yeah. And I've also seen takes of like the MCU again is dead. The Infinity Saga was just this perfect masterclass of genius storytelling, and I'm like, hey, I think that's what really kicked it off for me of being annoyed and like just like drawing a line in the stand and being like, hey, okay, well, this movie was fine. And shit, at this point, if I have to say I love the movie, I loved the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Because I was there. I'm not going to let you guys rewrite history. I was there when you said Age of Ultron was the worst movie ever. I was there when you said Thor 2 was the death of the MCU, Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3. People hated those movies when they came out.
People are definitely cherry picking when they talk about those. So like it was a masterclass of storytelling. If you only count the first Captain America, if you only talk about
Iron Man 1.
Yeah, Iron Man 1, maybe Iron Man 3. If you're like me, I really like that one.
They say the Avengers, but I'm like, the Avengers, I feel what if you rewatch it now, it's like that movie's fine.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, there's some. The nice thing about this, like you said, was a standalone, but there is some previous knowledge. So you have to have watched Eternals. You have to have watched Captain Winter Soldier.
You had to watch the Infinity Saga loosely. I mean,
yeah, loosely, but I mean, just saying the most recent ones, like. What else?
You had to watch The Incredible Hulk 2017.
Yeah, you definitely had to watch. Yeah, you had to go back and watch a movie that was mostly forgotten as The Incredible Hulk. I feel like that does most of it. But the weird thing going back to that Incredible Hulk is like, I'm glad that they did because I thought that movie was great. But it's like, oh wow, this is a throwback. Like, we're going back.
Yeah. So I spent the past week sort of championing the defense of this movie. And one out of like, to be completely honest, and I think anybody that knows me knows that it was slow news week, right? I needed something to post.
Slow news week when it comes to comic books, I think.
Listen, I feel like if those people can use rage bait, and I even said this, I even said that I was doing this. If those people can use rage bait for engagement, then I can do my form of rage bait in baiting them, right?
Yeah.
Because they're the only people that are getting pissed off by my post. So it's the exact same thing that they're doing. They're just the ones getting pissed off about it.
Yeah,
so if they can do it, I mean, I can do it.
You're being positive about something that's not terrible.
Yeah, they hated it, and I got a lot of pushback. But as the weekend went on, though, as normal people started seeing this movie, they said, "Oh, I liked it. Oh, I enjoyed it." Some people loved it. Some people talked about how much. Everyone talked about how much they loved it, right? And it was weird to see these critics just dunking on this movie while the general audience is saying how much they liked it. It wasn't adding up, right? At all.
Yeah.
And then you had these like TikTok influencers that were like, I had a friend of the show, Reed. He had made a post that said some people are just rage baiting. They're doing it for clicks. And then this one TikTok influencer was like, I really wish that some people would stop saying this because everyone's allowed to have an opinion. And I'm like, yo, he said some people. He didn't say every person. So that just comes off as like crazy self-defense. You know what I mean? Like you just feel self-conscious about your decision to be negative about it online.
Right.
No one really cares.
Yeah, there was some. So, like, I mean, it's weird because there is like a political angle to this movie, but not. I feel it is in the world that it exists in.
Captain America is for sure should have political elements to the story.
Right. In the world that this exists in, yes, there is like a political element, but I've heard some takes that they were like, it's too close to like the current political environment, and I didn't like the like cheap shots or whatever. And I was like, I feel like if you're seeing that, you're like projecting.
Yeah, you're projecting. And it's the same thing with the people that are upset about people. There are certain people that are getting offended that regular people are commenting on these super negative reviews, right? And it's kind of like, whenever ladies are talking about like crappy dudes, and then there's a group of guys that's like, hey, I'm not like that. I'm actually
a nice guy.
Yeah. And people are like, no one fucking said, obviously I'm not talking about you then. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. If you have to say it, then you are not a nice guy.
Yeah, you're probably the person I'm talking about if you feel the need to say that. I'm going to take a brief intermission to thank everybody in the chat. I know I said I wasn't going too much, but it's zooming and it is like not distracting me. That's rude. You guys are distracting me. No, I feel bad. I think that's my thing. It's like me not saying anything. I don't think I can just ignore.
Yeah. Well, and this is, like I said, some of these guys like Crooked and Marky, those are some of my toy photographer friends. So like this, I bought the Marvel Legends Red Hulk before the movie came out. Should I sell it before I take pictures of it? No. But that one's weird. You should get a different head on it.
That one sucks, man.
It doesn't even look like Harrison Ford.
It's just a repaint of like the regular Hulk.
Yeah. Get one with a mustache. I'll 3D print you a head.
The sorry to bother you with my friendship. Like, no, you guys are good. I was doing this for the sake of the audio listeners on the show, but they're just gonna have to deal with it. They're the ones that should be in the live show. So
yeah, Marky, yes, they do stay on mostly.
And
uncut.
Yeah.
That's what you want to know.
So I really enjoyed. I mean, I just did. It was fine. There was nothing in my head that was like, "Oh, this movie sucks." Like,
No.
and I know people. It feels weird that I feel like everyone that gave it a positive review afterwards, the first couple of reviews, they were like, "The movie's good, it's not great," and I'm like, "You don't have to say that, man. You don't have to say it's not. You could say you enjoyed it, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to say it was good, but it's not Endgame. No shit, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
It is a setup for something. Uh,
Yeah.
what I do find interesting is like there's like, and they said this in a preview, so sorry if this is a spoiler and you haven't seen a preview, but to bring in like the adamantium element, it's funny that someone predicted that, and maybe you even said that was like, I think that the celestial is going to be the adamantium thing. And I thought that that's kind of funny. Somebody in our chat brought that up, is like, it almost seems like it's just a buildup, right? It's just a buildup to more whatever. But
the MCU before that, that's all it was. After the first couple of movies, once they decided to make it like, because remember, it was just leading up to the Avengers, and then they were like, oh, let's double down on the lead up, and then it was all leading up to Thanos.
Yeah, that is so true. I do have a kind of a problem that a lot of these movies do feel a little half-hearted, that they are just leading into a new thing. But I will say, like on this, most of that lead up is just like, hey, there's just this big island of minerals that now we can use for new stuff. And there was an international, like, that's real life. That shit would happen. Oh, there's this giant island that we need to occupy. Everybody's going to take a piece of it. Weird countries, though, I thought.
Yeah.
To be like the leaders there. But I don't know, man. Yeah, you're right. It's weird for people to say good, not great. It's a lead up movie. That's what they all do. We kind of lost our, like, what the lead up thing was going to be for a while because of that whole deal.
Well, the thing is, I feel like this movie is also a course correction for like people dunking on like Phase 5, where the MCU tried to do more experimental things. They tried to bring in like different elements from like Eternals. They tried to do Shang-Chi. They tried to do all these different things, and people are like, kind of
solid ass movie.
It's so good. It's so good. And they got sort of She-Hulk. They got kickback from all of these experimental things that they try to do. And so I feel like they were trying to do a course correction with Cap. And it very much to me feels like that. Like, oh, you guys want the old MCU.
Here's Cookie.
Yes, it's not. Yeah, yes, it's not Chris Evans. Duh, no shit, it's not Chris Evans. Yes, it feels like a very watered down Winter Soldier, like they were trying to capture some of that same lightning in a bottle. But it also just felt like, when are we going to stop expecting Endgame every movie?
You know what I mean? To me, those movies, if you watch 10 years of stuff beforehand, they were like, oh my God, mind blowing. And I feel like they're both really good in their own right. But anyway, to compare those is ridiculous. I will say, when it comes to, you talk about watered down Winter Soldier, I totally agree. I feel like there were some parts that they were kind of figuring out at the same time between what's her name?
Sabra?
Yeah, the dip lady, and then Falcon, that guy. I'm just gonna go on a little side tangent. Character's great, guy's a good looking guy. Nicole's like, oh, he has a beautiful smile. I'm like, shut up.
That's why you don't like him. You're like, fuck this guy.
But it was definitely like he had some really goofy line. I don't know. He was kind of like an annoying sidekick type character. And maybe that's what he's supposed to be. I don't know.
That's what Falcon is, yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean,
my costume sucks.
Yeah, my costume sucks. Other than a few like just weird writing things. And I'm going to say one off the top of my head, and it's the end. I'm not going to tell who says it, but I was making fun of it on the ride home because it's such a nondescript thing. There's like an end credit scene, and he said, "You heroes." This character says, "You heroes are concerned about this world? Well, there's worlds, more than worlds, also worlds. Superheroes are protecting those worlds too. So what happens when worlds? It was just like a non-sentence.
Yeah.
And
AI generated word salad.
I was like not upset, but I was like, I've stayed for stupid ass end credit shit before.
Yeah.
This isn't the first or the last. But I was like, what?
Do you ever see the clips from like MCU stuff on the cruise ships where it's just like the weird like Paul Rudd did some like B-roll stuff for it? That's what it reminded me of, like a cruise ship like special.
Yeah, like in the middle of a ride. Yeah. No, I get that. I get
that. My thought in all this is like, this is your fault, not you, but like the people that complain about all the movies, is because this is all reactionary stuff. Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom, the big Avengers movie that we have to drop because even though we haven't really formed the storyline to get there, like all this stuff is the fans' fault because they whine and complain about every little thing.
Yeah, if there's a famous quote about that, I think, is like, if fans could make the movie, they would ruin it forever. They would still hate it. And
still hate it.
I think there's some parts in this, and like, again, like I said, between the like Disney Plus shows and the quality that they're putting out there, and then the quality that they're putting out in the movies, it's so close now that like it seems like the movies are less than because it's so close. And
because it's like a one-off thing instead of because the shows essentially like Falcon and Winter Soldier, even though there was a little bit of filler, that essentially was like a 4-hour or 5-hour movie. Cut out the nonsense filler. So that's what you're comparing it to. You're comparing like, I'm either going to get a 5-hour movie spread out over 5 weeks, or I'm going to go to the theaters for an hour and 45 minutes and get one movie.
I honestly feel like they should have just made it a movie. I think I would have preferred that.
I think so too. I think that would have been a really good first movie.
Yeah, but there's some. I mean, like I said, there's some writing things that you could tell, and I don't know how extensive the reshoots were, but you could tell at the end confrontation. We saw it in 3D too, and there was like this weird. I'm sitting there watching with Nicole, and afterwards, and I'm like, that was the worst green screen shit I've ever seen. Like, there was one like 5-second scene
where he's like, where it's Anthony Mackie like trying to calm him down or whatever.
Yeah. I was like, oof, that's kind of rough. Otherwise, I think it's fine. That part I didn't love. Like I said, there's parts that I didn't love, but I don't. I think hate it.
Again, I think it's reactionary, and I hate to be the person to be like, "Yo, this is what you asked for," because everyone complained about Sabra, so it's very clear that they cut out a lot of her stuff. Like at one point, she's wearing like a full-on MCU-fied suit underneath her jacket. They don't never explain why or where she got it from or what's the context behind it. She's just wearing it. So it's very clear that they cut out all of that shit just because of the backlash that they were worried they're going to get.
They showed her in the bunker and she's wearing like this, like just a leather jacket. That woman has very weird proportions. I told Nicole and she got mad at me. She said I was being mean. I was like, her arms are reach her kneecap.
Down to her knees. Yeah, I said the same thing. Yeah, she had stomach cancer, kidney cancer when she was a baby, and the treatment from when she was 2 years old stunted her growth. So I looked it up because I thought the exact same thing.
Well, now I feel terrible. Sorry, Sabra.
It was, and by saying that, it was my wife looked it up, and because I was being a dickhead.
I'm just I said that
out there. I said that she looked like the robot from Rogue One with the.
I said that she kind of had the proportions of E.T. with long legs.
That's way worse. Mine's cool, at least. E.T.'s like a blob.
Well, I was like, she kind of has like a short neck thing. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. So I'm sorry. We're terrible people.
Hey, we never claimed. We never claimed to be good people. Yeah, we never claimed to be good people. And I don't know, man. I just think. Just see, even like the review that we were talking about before we started recording is like, this, I hated it. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. And it just feels.
It almost feels forced. Because
it feels forced.
I don't feel like that. There are certain parts where I feel like the MCU, I'm like, I don't know. We're at the point where I feel like movies become fillers, whatever, period. They're like, oh, this leads to this leads to this. But it's always been like that. I'm not going to claim that it hasn't been
Yeah.
like that, at least since, like, I don't know, Thor 2, probably, is when it really felt like, well, I'm watching this movie to find out how it connects.
Yeah. The whole genius of the whole genius of the Infinity Saga thing, like, just really chaps my ass because I remember y'all saying, I remember there being a crowd of people that saying Black Panther sucked. Like, I remember there after every movie, the MCU's dead. At a certain point, it was every single movie.
I don't know what the expectation is for, like, new heroes. Like, when they brought in Shuri to be the new captain, I mean, to do Black Panther, and then they wanted to bring in Ironheart. Like, where do we introduce that character?
Yeah,
it's difficult.
What's the expectations? Yeah,
they're gonna get.
They don't want new movies. They don't want new characters. They want Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, and Robert Downey Jr. to just play those characters until they are CGI'd, and they don't care if they're CGI'd in there. They just want the same thing over and over and over. That's all they want.
And it's so weird to me because my whole I told Nicole, I was like, I love Falcon as Captain America because he's got wings. I was like, I know that's real stupid, but I
didn't care about Anthony Mackie as Falcon. I like him significantly more as Captain America. I think he's way more interesting to me.
And I do find that the movie message of, like, you're just a dude, like, you don't have super, like, and there were some complaints about the power scaling between him and Hulk and about him taking.
I mean, I get that, but he got his ass beat,
right?
Like, and he was running from the Hulk the entire fight.
And one of the things that I heard is that, like, he takes a straight punch from the Hulk, and as I'm watching, I'm like, kind of seems like he's hitting the vibranium wings, and the whole thing about vibranium, and it's got the technology, is that it, like, absorbs the kinetic energy. That's how he, like, does the thing. So it does look like he's hitting the shield, but when you look, he's got the shield real close to him. So if we're gonna really examine it as if it's a real thing, it's not like he's got it out and he's just holding it. But then you get into the whole concept of, what does it even do? How does it shock absorb? Like,
well, the thing is, that's what I've been saying. People are like, a human being would never be able to fight the Hulk. And I said, well, good thing it was a comic book character. Because it's not real. I get it. I get that these people, they want these, like, fantasies played out on screen of, like, them feeling bigger than they are and to live vicariously through these magical characters, right? But it's not. It just, where does this, like you were saying, where does the suspension of belief end? It's like he's fighting a giant irradiated red monster man. Why is it I can't believe that this human could survive? Like, why is it that a human couldn't, he would die of cancer, immediate cancer, if he was irradiated like that?
Yeah.
Why isn't that the thing?
It is strange. And, like, I never felt taken out. And I think it's because I had a lot of things spoiled for me. So I never got taken out of the movie in moments like that. There were a few things where he's just getting wailed on that I was like, okay, maybe, because he is a Hulk. Like, and only comic book nerds would know how powerful this Hulk is, right? Everybody else is just comparing him to the regular Hulk, whatever.
Well, in my head, he was just like the regular Hulk in this, and that's one of my complaints about the movie. I didn't talk about any of my complaints online because there is no need with everyone just completely dunking on the movie.
Yeah.
There's so much just, like, hate.
I bet we're going to be in the same wavelength with the Hulk, but please continue.
And the Hulk in the comic books when he first came, I hope Harrison Ford comes back and gets to play this character a little bit more with a little bit more depth. But in my head, it's just like the Hulk, but red. There was no real distinction from it being a different character.
They showed a little bit of the heat mechanics.
Yeah,
of him,
a little bit of that.
Not a lot.
But when he was, like, in the comic books, he was like a shit talker. He was still Thunderbolt, like, even not eviler, but like a more of a shit talker than Thunderbolt Ross. And he was like beating the crap out of Silver Surfer and punching the Watcher. He was like doing all this just obscene, just he was a shit talker. And that's what I remember from him, just being someone that really got under people's skin while also being as strong as the Hulk and having the ability to like absorb radiation and stuff like that. And so I hope that Harrison Ford gets to come back and kind of like play this more cunning version of Red Hulk rather than just like another Hulk, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and why I thought we'd be on the same wavelength is basically Banner became Smart Hulk, and so they were like, we need an uncontrollable monster type thing.
Yeah.
Let's use this thing that's in the backlog.
Yeah. So that was kind of weak to me. I think he looked so good though. For people to complain about like CGI in movies and stuff like that, they complained about She-Hulk CGI. I thought he looked so good.
Yeah. And it's disappointing because that could have been a really cool inclusion that wasn't spoiled by previews. But like most people were, you're talking about people dunking on it. Most people, I guess the people at Disney didn't think that Anthony Mackie was a strong enough main character to sell the movie.
Yeah, because it does feel like some people said that one of their complaints is that it's a sequel to Incredible Hulk, which, yeah, I agree. I thought it was weird that Bruce wasn't in it at all. I didn't need him in it, but like at all, I thought it was weird. Like, not even like a phone call.
He would have been a better end credit character, I think.
That's what I was thinking. Like, instead of Anthony Mackie being the person that walks up at the end, it would have been cooler. Even if they walked up together, like that would have been cool.
Yeah, hey, I brought a friend. Like he did the first time he walked up. Hey, I brought a friend.
Yeah, that would have been so good, but it didn't happen. And that's one of my complaints. Some people were saying, that he wasn't Chris Evans, and I really appreciate that he wasn't. I think that they were trying to go out of their way to make it feel different.
Yeah. I think, and that's there's one he's talking about. The movie ended kind of weird. I'll say that it was just kind of like, okay, all right, that's it.
Yeah,
but the way he talks about it, the Falcon says, "You're always on point. Like you don't make mistakes." He's like, "I can't." And I appreciate
that's like an allegory for real life. Yeah,
yeah, that's like a double entendre, and. I feel like a lot of people, it's just this avoidance of like real life experiences that people cannot live. Like you can't experience what it's like. You just can't experience what it's like to be a black person in America as a white man.
Putting yourself in someone else's shoes is really difficult for people in the current climate of the world. And it's kind of sad.
Well, period. I mean, there's a thing like there was something that Jeremy always said that really, I never really thought about it like this. And he said that he would always talk about the forgiveness hug as when some dumb girl would say something racist and then be like, "Oh, I'm just kidding." And he'd be like, "No." And then they try to like get closer. He's like, nope.
Yeah.
But
he was the best at that. He's not dead. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. But if one of the things that he said is one girl asked him, and I'm not, please forgive me for sounding sexist. I'm not. But one girl asked him, like, "Do you like get more hot because you have dark skin?" And he was like, "How the fuck would I know?"
Yeah, all right.
And that's
so wild.
To me, that is such a strange way to like completely understand that you'll never understand because you cannot wear someone else's skin. And I mean, you could, but it would be weird. But I'm saying, like, no white person will ever understand what it's like to be black, and no black person will ever understand what it's like to be white. Not completely.
Hey, I've played Monopoly, man. I know what it is to get out of jail free card.
Yeah. I've gotten some nice real estate, and I've gotten a get out of jail free card. But I'm saying,
I got the gist of it, man.
My complaint about people that are talking about these movies or anything else is like, why do they got to shove it down our throats? It's like no one's shoving anything down your throat. again,
life, man.
like we talked about that, if you interpret it that way, you might need to do some self-reflection. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, it's not, if you feel like anyone is shoving a message down your throat, it's probably for you.
yeah. It's coming
Otherwise,
from the inside for sure.
yeah, otherwise it's not, you know?
Yeah,
You could ignore it.
yeah. Like I do, shove it down.
Yeah, just shove it down. Shove all those feelings in. But
It's
oh,
interesting to see all these like sort of, I would say, forced hate reviews because and so when I mentioned earlier some like the TikTokers and other influencers that are like not critics, they're just people that watch movies. I made what I thought was a funny post. I said, from now on, when someone like gives me their insight on a movie, I'm just going to ask them where they went to film school. And then I posted the Ron Swanson meme where he's like, I have a permit, and it says, this just says I can do whatever I want.
I can do
And then it's
whatever I
like,
want.
show me your resume. And then I pulled up the piece of paper and it just says, I watch movies. It's like, oh, so you can critique movies professionally because you watch them. That makes sense. But it's like, they're like, we're just giving our opinions, man. Everyone's allowed to have their opinions. But then you have the same people that are, so people got offended that people were giving their opinion on these like harshly negative reviews. They got really sensitive about people not liking their negative reviews.
Yeah, where's the
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
where's
And
the
to go
line?
even further, they're like, hey, just let us, if you like the movie, fine. Just let us do our reviews because that's what we thought about it. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, then that's fair. Right. Fair enough. But then I have another friend of the show, Frankie, and fantastic Frankie. She put out this video, which was like a positive review of Captain America: Brave New World, and people were reporting it on TikTok, trying to get it taken down. So it's like, do
Okay.
you want
Yeah.
to leave you alone for your negative reviews? Like, leave our negative reviews alone and don't make any positive reviews, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, I want all the rights for me. I want you to play
Yeah,
by the rules when it's
yeah.
my turn.
Be nice to me, and
If
you
that's
go
not the
away.
perfect allegory for like,
Exactly.
oh my god, yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's real weird. I like I said, like I walked in seeing a lot of like people were disappointed with it. And I walked out and I'm like, I don't see it. And I'm not even trying to be contrarian. Like, I don't see where the hate came from. Me and Nicole were joking more about like, and maybe it was just fun to watch it with her, but like we were joking about like that army, the guy that he's talking to a lot, that like he goes to the church and he's talking to, is like, that dude is in love with Anthony Mackie. Like, he is staring at
Yeah,
him hard.
that was D
Uh
Man.
who?
Demolition. Do you ever, the character Demolition Man? He looks like Wolverine. He has a giant D on his
Oh,
chest.
D-Man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, that
Demolition
was
Man. I didn't know that's what it was called.
yeah. I hate that they kind of like did the whole, in the Justice League movie where they made Jimmy Olsen just like a army guy. They did it
Yeah.
with, and I don't think D Man is like, oh my gosh, he's the character that we need in the MCU. I just think it would have been funny if he would have had the Wolverine mask on at some point and then
Yeah,
died.
that sucks that he's just like dead. But spoiler, I guess. Anyway,
Yeah,
what I and the only other real complaint I have this, and this is a suspension of belief thing, but I have, it pulls me out of movies, is how quickly people move around the globe.
yeah, it's
Like,
crazy. But
there's no,
that's in every movie. I mean, that's in
yeah, yeah, but it's like the main antagonist is like at this base using a remote control to be the bad guy, and then he goes to this other, he's like on the other side of the world doing
yeah.
the same thing. And it's just weird. It's like, why'd you have to be there? You weren't there for anything else.
Yeah,
Unabomber
you
ass.
use the phone. Yeah, you use the phone for everything else, but now you have to like show up and murder this guy. Spoiler
I,
alert.
I feel like that was a reshoot thing, like a
Yeah.
weird, but I don't know. Other than that and a few dialogue things, I'm gonna say it again. I enjoyed it. I think it was worth a watch.
Yeah. And I don't
I don't
care
know.
if you didn't enjoy it. It's fine. I get it. I like a lot of movies that most
Yeah,
people
it's
do
fine.
not like,
Yeah,
right?
you're right. I mean, it's
And
fine to not like a movie. I will say that, and I'm sorry to interrupt you one more time, but
oh,
that action scene where they're flying around with they got their like supersonic masks on. That whole thing was perfect.
Oh my god. To
It
say
was
that's
so
not
cool.
like that scene alone with the surfing part, like I'm not gonna go into details on it,
It's
but
goofy,
like
but yeah, it's great.
it's goofy, but I was just like, that's like it's comic book stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's cool.
And that's why
Or things that I didn't even think about. Like I like to pride myself on like being a comic book savant, which is like I know comic book stuff, right? To see Red Wing take the shields and like
yes, that was great.
I was just like
Of
blew
course.
my mind.
Makes perfect
Like
sense. Yeah, why
it
wouldn't
makes
you?
so much sense. It makes so much sense. And it was so many cool moments where it's just like, how do you hate this movie?
I don't know. That was pure comic book goodness. And I feel like again, it's like I don't know what you want. Do you want it to be real or do you want it to be fun?
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing is, like, there were people that saying The Flash was better than this movie. And I'm like, I get everyone having an opinion, but like that was barely a movie too, man. Like, what in the
no,
world?
there were parts that I enjoyed about that movie, but there's so much just like dumb
Yeah.
stuff.
I feel like I am taking crazy pills. And it's just I feel like it is there's people say that, just let the people can have an opinion, let the negative reviews, be a sort of thing. But if you sit here, you can't sit here and say that the negative reviews and like social media rage baiting and stuff doesn't affect the outcome of like general perception. You just can't. We've talked about it in a previous episode about the gang of people online that like to piss people off just because that's the only human interaction they can get.
Mhm, mhm.
There's the same group of people that is sitting at that's sitting
I
at
mean, I
home.
say that you do that, but
I
you
do
have
that, yeah,
more.
but
You do human, more human. You're like the
yeah, yeah,
superhero contradiction to that.
yeah. I'm like I like to think that I'm like it's a farm, and this is a really sad way to look at it. I look like I think of it as I am the farmer, and those people are the animals, and I come out every now and then, feed them, and then I go back into the to the house.
Oh, that's great. That's perfect.
So there's also a group of people online that don't have any friends. Same thing. They don't have any loved ones. They don't have any significant others, and they find and there's a certain group of people that feel underrepresented. Not saying that they are underrepresented, but at this current climate, they feel underrepresented, and so they latch on to these very loud voices, angry
Mhm.
voices that they think are representing them and their ideologies. And so they automatically parrot what those people say. They do whatever those people say. Those people drop negative reviews, they'll do the same thing. And
Yeah.
they genuinely are influenced by these people. And that trickles down into the people that spend the money. And I'm not going to get political, but it's very similar to a lot of things in the world. The influence of these smaller, I was going to say smaller minded people, that I don't mean it like that. I mean these people with less going on socially, emotionally, and mentally. They latch on to these bigger voices, and they just do. And they're easily swayed. And it's kind of sad that the big mega corporations don't see it. They see, oh, being progressive is selling right now, so we'll do that. Oh, no, they don't want that right now.
Yeah.
Now they want, how do I say this? They want it to be great again. So let's
Yeah.
do that. They only see the dollar signs. They don't see what's really important. It's like
Right.
the balance between all of it.
Well, and maybe they're looking at like the pendulum swing, as they say. So they're just like,
Of course. Like
but
they don't
even,
really care because it does swing back, and it does,
yeah,
as with most things.
even if it's not a real, I feel like most things aren't like a real representation. You talk about these
No,
loud voices. That's not a real representation of what
it's
most
not.
people are going to go see and enjoy about this movie.
It's not. And this movie specifically is the perfect example of that, because they rated this movie in an insane way. And what I've seen from general audience and people that I've been, that's been either commenting on things that I posted or just seeing them in general, it's just not the same thing. And I judge a lot of things off by what my children think of these movies, because these movies essentially are made for children, and my kids loved it. So, what am I going to believe? An angry 40-year-old man, or am I going to believe that has lost all the magic in his imagination and is just hateful towards the world? Or am I going to look at a kid that still sees the joy in things?
Yeah,
like, whose opinion am I going to care about more?
Yeah, it's just fun. It's like it's the same shit that people, it's like Star Wars. People cried and moaned. Do I think that those movies are perfect? No. But if kids enjoy them, then I guess it's
well, how many perfect movies are out there? You know what I mean? There's people that are saying like, this movie is good, but it could be better. I'm like, you can say any movie that exists can be better.
Yeah, I agree. Hey,
unless we're talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, that movie is pretty. That
movie is perfect. Yeah. There are some of those that I'm just like, that's not for me. But
yeah,
I don't know. For me to get really upset about a movie, it's just got to have like no plot at all.
Wolverine Origins is the only movie that I've got.
It was a spit in the face. I was
angry about. That's the only. That's what I feel like these people were acting like it was, and I just don't see it, man.
Wolverine Origins definitely felt like a spit in the face of every fan ever. Yeah. Like, it was insulting.
That movie came out. Yeah, this movie came out. If that movie came out now, I would say that movie was AI generated. Every single bit of it was.
And that's what's weird. Is like people that are complaining about Sam Wilson as Captain America. It's not, and I'm only saying this to defend my position about how much I hate Wolverine Origins. Is like, I liked Wolverine. I read some Wolverine. I knew quite a bit about Wolverine and his extraneous rogues gallery and whatever. And go see that movie, and you're like, oh my God, what they look what they did to my boy. And then you go but none of these people that are complaining, I can guarantee you they have not bought an issue of any Sam Wilson Cap. Or
and they're so good. Honestly, they're honestly so good too.
Like I said, I just love I'm sold on the concept alone of Captain America with wings. So I love it.
Makes more sense.
He's just cool. And I'm with you. I didn't love him as straight up just Falcon. I mean, Winter Soldier, he's really good. But otherwise, it's weird. I find it's weird. It's the PG-ification of the movie. Like, he used to carry like Uzis, and now it's just
I forgot about that, and I saw a picture of it, and I was like, holy smokes, he had the Uzis that like came out of his arms, I think.
Yeah. And so to me, I don't love that part, because I'm like, they kill people all the time. He reflected bullets back at people and killed them.
Yeah. He broke that dude's arm, and I was like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. That was a weird part too. I don't know.
He should have. Yeah. And people talk about how Giancarlo's character was weak. Like kind of like a one-off character, but I'm like, do you not remember Batroc the Leaper at the beginning of Winter Soldier? They were trying. It was a watered-down version of that movie. They were trying to capture all of the good stuff, like that. I loved that fight between Cap and him.
I thought it was cool. Yeah. Even the gun through the There was only the way he holds that gun, which I'm sure, again, it would take that stance to hold that gun. It was a big gun.
And he's like 90 years old.
There's something weird. Him and Harrison Ford, I'm like, damn, what happened in the last 10 years? They look so old.
I'll tell you what, though, man. Anthony Mackie, I didn't think he could lead a movie. He acted his ass off. Falcon Kid was charming as hell. And Harrison Ford, again, they got to get that kid in more movies, man.
I don't know.
He was good.
I don't know. It's like, did they just discover him, or?
I don't know. They should put him in like a Star Wars or something.
Maybe. I bet he'd be really good in that. Yeah. What would he play? Would he play a Jedi?
He probably should.
Yeah.
Grumpy old Jedi. And he was really good in it, man. I know someone was like, they didn't give William Hurt his props for all the groundwork he put for Thunderbolt Ross. And I'm like, dog, no disrespect to what he did, great in that, but like he could have been any like general guy. Nothing stood out to me as like, this is General Ross besides that old ass movie. I forgot about that old ass movie.
Yeah, the only other time you see him is in Age of Ultron, which also people hated. So,
yeah,
what are you talking about?
No disrespect to him. I think he was great in everything that he did. That Harrison Ford did good, man. He knocked it out of the park. I hope that he lives for a couple more years to do another one.
Yeah, the best. By the way, if you want to see a William Hurt, right? If you want to see a William Hurt movie that's really great, what is it, Mr. Smith? I think it's got Kevin Costner in it, and he's like it's like a split personality movie. I think it's called Mr. Smith. It is fucking good. It's a good ass movie.
I'll check that out. I like both of those guys.
Yeah, it's great. I don't want to. I don't even want to give you a synopsis because it'll ruin it. It's just really good.
Check it out.
But anyway, that's beside the point. This movie is good. Not great. Good. No, I'm just kidding. It is good. Go see it. It's fun.
It's fine, man. I mean, it just reminds me of like, if this is Sam's first Cap movie, it's on par with all the rest of the first movies.
It's on par with
Iron Man. Iron Man 1 was good. Iron Man 1 set the stage for a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I think Cap 1. Yeah, Cap 1 was really good. But I remember when people hated that movie.
People did not like Cap 1. Yes, I remember. I loved it because I like Chris Columbus movies and I love The Rocketeer.
Same. And I love that vibe. I remember people hated that movie, but it's so funny that now it's like,
yeah,
where'd we people were posting gifs of that first Cap movie and they're like, where'd we go so wrong? And I'm like, you guys hated that movie.
Yeah.
When it came out.
It's been 3 movies.
What in the world, man?
It is so funny. People want to be, they're going to do that forever. They were dunking on that one before it was famous to dunk on shit all the time. And now they're doing it now. And you're right.
Let me tell you right now, people are saying that this movie is not as good. This movie is not as good as Winter Soldier and Civil War. Let me tell you right now, Civil War sucks ass, bro. I hate that movie. That movie sucks. I don't hate it, but it's also just like, it's one of those movies that's like, it's good, not great. It was fine.
Yeah, they were forcing a lot of things with that movie. Yeah. I think that began that maybe
the Spider-Man reveal was the best thing in that movie.
Yeah, that movie right there. The first part with Tony's parents, like that's a really cool reveal. But that movie right there is the how do we mash all these people together?
Yeah, we got to get him. Yeah, to get him into the big fight, so we got to just start pushing these people in these movies, and they have to have relationships and like be aware of each other.
Yeah, maybe they should talk and have.
I saw a, I'm not gonna say normal person. I just didn't know this person, and they didn't seem to be someone that identifies as a influencer, right? Just seemed to be a normal person on the internet. Very rare nowadays. But they said something that I agree with, and it was like I would assume in the current climate of movie reviews that this would be a hot take, but I agree with it. They said that Captain America: Brave New World was better than Deadpool versus Wolverine, and I'm like, I think that it's a better movie, right?
Movie and Cap movie, yes,
movie. Yeah, I think it is a better movie. That yes, Deadpool it had all the check marks of like,
right.
Yes. Shove it in my face. Give me it was a content. That movie was like content.
It was eating fast food instead of a good meal.
Yeah.
It was Captain America. I love a greasy hamburger.
Exactly. But I'm gonna feel like shit afterwards. Captain America: Brave New World. I'm gonna steal this person's take in typical internet fashion. Is better than Deadpool. Could very, very specifically say Captain America: Brave New World is a better movie than Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I need to add context, but I will. Yeah. In like story, in like context, I would say it's like that way. It was like that with the last Spider-Man movie. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is just a bunch of fan service. Like this is big titty anime shit. This is
Yeah,
all this
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I said I had similar thoughts about the Spider-Man movies. I said Spider-Man: Homecoming, which a lot of people didn't love, was a better movie than Spider-Man: Far From Home. It
Which
just
one's
it,
that one? The second one?
Homecoming is when they were just in like France and they they it,
Oh, yeah. I
he's
didn't love that one either. I
I
didn't
didn't
really
love
like
it
any of
either.
them. I didn't really like any of them.
I like the first one.
It's yeah. I mean, it's fine. I think it captures like the teenage Spider-Man feel.
Yeah, I like the first. The first one's the best one, hands down. The Vulture was good. I mean, it had a lot of good.
Yeah, the Vulture is really
Uh,
good. Yeah.
but essentially, just like this movie was a sequel to 19 or the 2017 Hulk movie, this was just that was just a sequel to Birdman. So I mean,
That's true.
it's never ending.
It was a
Hollywood, get it
sequel to
together.
Avengers,
Yeah, get it
kind of.
together. Get it
I don't
together,
know.
Hollywood.
Everybody
I
go watch it. It's worth a watch. If you feel like you're hesitant, go watch it on a Tuesday when it's cheaper if you're a
yeah,
movie
yeah.
club member, but it's fun. It is a
But if you're
fun
someone
movie.
that is all, if you are someone that has already made your mind up that you don't like these movies, then like it's cool. Just skip it, man. Just
There
don't put
yeah,
yourself through it.
yes, and I would agree. Like anyone, if you've decided that the MCU is over, there's gonna be no redemption for that. Like it's
There's
over
not.
for
This
you.
isn't going to bring you back.
Yeah. It is true. I agree. Like if you the same with Star Wars. If you've decided that it's
Yeah,
over, there's not going to be some shining star that creates
yeah.
this perfect thing because
If
you'll
it's yeah,
always find a problem with it.
if it's all dead and it's all woke and there's too many women and there's too many black people, guess what? It's 2025, man. There's a lot of them everywhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
believe it or not. I see some right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Lock yourself in your house. They're all over the place.
um,
Golly. I would say for the people that aren't weirdos, uh,
yeah,
try to not be so influenced because I see some people say I was waiting to see the reviews and I'm like that's the worst thing you could do. It's like let someone else kind of get in your head. I'm kind of like a contrarian when I see reviews. I'm like, oh well, I love it off principle alone. Just play devil's advocate.
yeah. I usually trust people that I know have similar viewpoints to me.
Yeah.
But even this, I saw I saw some people kind of complaining about a few things, but I didn't take it to heart because I'm like, well, I'm gonna go see it.
I what really
Even if I'm exhausted of these movies, not because
yeah.
I think they're low quality, I'm just like kind of tired of the content.
Yeah, yeah. What really caught me off guard, and this is just it's a weird situation. I think in general, a lot of the points that we've talked about, but what really caught me off guard is some people that I am mutuals with on social media that usually like are pretty hypercritical about these movies were saying that they enjoyed it. That usually like dunk on the movies. They were saying that they don't understand what's going on because the movie was fine. The movie was good. They enjoyed it. They are genuinely confused. And so for me, I'm just like, there has to be something else going on. And then I remember.
No, yeah. That
What's
chocolate.
the difference? What's
What's
the
that
difference
chocolate
here?
coating on this
Yeah. Yeah. On
empty
this
Easter rabbit?
nothingness. Yeah. Yeah. What the fuck, man?
That was the dumbest thing.
That's gotta be the weirdest, like
What a
overtly racist thing I've ever heard in my life.
yeah. It is true. It is true that is like such a weird like of all the metaphors that you
Yeah.
could come up with, you chose the one that had anything to do with chocolate.
Yeah. But the lead character is black.
Yeah.
And and I know that that's what gets the clicks now is the hate, but like someone was saying that earlier too, and I'm talking about it in general, because there's some people that, like I mentioned, just parrot what the big, big sort of grifters do. They just kind of parrot those negative reviews, and they're like, "Well, that's what everybody does. That's what they get paid for." And I'm like, a vast majority of the people making quote unquote content on the internet aren't making enough money to pay their bills, right? And
Yeah.
so social currency, if that's what they need in their life, they need to go outside and they need to get a hobby. They need to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. They need to call their mother, mend that relationship. They need to do something else. It's time to step away.
Yeah. Touch some grass, as you say. Touch some grass, maybe some ass.
Yeah, exactly. It's time to step away. I know that engagement gets clicks from like other people, and I told you that's why I kind of do like the reverse hate thing, and it works for me. But even that is exhausting. I couldn't see how you could just, that's your whole thing. That's your whole.
I think that's why they hate every movie, though, at this point.
Yeah.
They can enjoy zero content.
I would imagine that they all have these reviews like written and recorded long before the movies come out, and they're just like, oh, upload.
I don't think that that's even a hot take. I totally believe that. Yeah.
And some of them don't even see the movies. They just straight dunking on them for no reason. It's exhausting, man. I think most people need to get off the internet a little bit more. And I don't know. Just go become an alcoholic or something. It's way more productive.
Yeah, way more productive. I think that's my, I don't know. Like when I say that I'm tired of the content, like it's like I feel like Brave New World, man. It's just so much shit flying at me all the time that I'm really like, I don't know if I can go even enjoy a movie because I'm so tired of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's all I mean by that. I still think like I went in and I liked it. And that says a lot for me because I don't like sit down and watch shit. So
yeah. And I brag about my relationship with social media, and this has been like taxing for me this past week. It's just like, this is way too much interaction. See, I'm like the opposite. These people do it for like attention. I don't like attention, which is weird for me to even be on social media in the context that I am, because I'm an introvert, right? And I may not seem that way online, but I'm very much, put me in a crowded room and I'm going to be the guy in the corner, just like,
that is such a lie.
Laughing at farts with my friend.
I mean, laughing at farts, but with your friends. See, that's the key factor. You're much more extroverted than I am, for sure.
Extroverted introvert. I think that's the term.
Yeah,
depends on my ADHD medicine's working.
Same, and how many drinks I've had. I'm like a supreme extrovert when I've had a few drinks. But
we were just talking. My wife and I were just talking about you dancing the other day, and I was like, "Yeah, we like a dancing Simon out."
Oh yeah, I love to dance when I'm at a few. I will not be dancing, but before.
The thing is, there's no single correct way. At the end of the day, good, bad, these are all subjective. Anything that you feel about this movie, I feel it. I know it. Simon knows it. I think it's up to you as the listener and viewer of these things to understand that because you think something is bad doesn't mean that it is a fact. It is your opinion. It's subjective. Everyone's opinion is different. Everybody consumes media different. Everyone relates to media in different ways. It doesn't matter if you think the movie's bad in the grand scheme of things. I know it's what gets the clicks, and I know people want to ride the hate train, but at the end of the day, you got to go. If you care about the movie enough to hate it and to let people know that you hate it and you hate the MCU and you hate all these things, you should care enough to actually form your own opinion on it.
Yeah. And just with the, not really a counter, but I mean, go see it, form your own opinion on it. Don't let even me or Lex tell you I liked it. It's enjoyable, but if you really don't care anything about these movies, don't let me convince you to go see it. But at the same time, don't form an opinion that it's a piece of shit or it's the worst movie you've ever seen when you haven't seen it.
Yeah, if you are telling me online that this movie sucks because of these things, if this is your argument, if your argument consists of this movie sucks because if you say the word box office, if you say the word projections, if you say the words reviews I've read, if you say any of those things, I'm just going to automatically assume that you were an idiot.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I may not even tell you that.
I don't.
If I'm having a conversation with you online, and this is for anyone that's listening that has had a conversation with me online, and you say any of those words in our conversation, just know this guy thinks I'm an idiot. because I do. I don't give a shit about projections. Like, when did it become about? I remember being a kid. I'm not sitting there with my friends watching movies like, I think this movie's gonna make $900 million.
I think I'm starting to like these millions of dollars. Yeah.
It's so weird. When there's just a bunch of nerds that are like, no offense to anyone that works at Target, no offense to anyone that works retail, but it's just like these guys are working pushing carts up at Target, like, yeah, these movies aren't even going to break $1 billion. It's like, dude, you can't even afford to buy McDonald's this week. Like, in the real world, everyone's struggling, and you're worried about these movies not making gazillion dollars.
You're worried about Disney not. And why do you even care? Is it? Are you afraid they're not going to make a sequel to the movie you don't like? Like, why do you care?
Exactly. They're making. It's like they're not going to break $1 billion. It's like, when did that become like the standard of quality of movies?
Yeah, there's plenty of really like artistic, like great ass movies that don't make any fucking money, and that's why they don't make them anymore.
The cherry on the top for me is that all these negative reviews that came out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're saying this movie is going to be a flop. This movie isn't going to break even. They're going to lose money on this movie. And after the first weekend, they didn't. It's on track to be a successful movie. They already didn't flop. So it's like, now what? Now what do you say?
Yeah, but I bet it won't. I bet it won't do this.
But I bet it won't make $1 billion. It's like, okay, man. Do you even understand how much money that is? You're just saying things. It's just repeated, just regurgitated nonsense. And I think that's, you're talking about the shit that's flying out. That's the stuff to me that I'm just like, I got to get off the internet, man. I don't give a shit. There's so much stuff that I just don't give a shit about.
Man, and to get in a similar parallel conversation, it's like, so I'm in the like toy world part of things, right? And all people do is complain about figures. No matter what it is, it could be really great, and they will complain about, but whatever. The new Dr. Octopus came out, and people were like, but his claws are really small. It's like, well, he's based off of this art style.
Never ending,
of course. And it's like, but I bet he'll suck. And some of those, the only time I'll grant any credence to those arguments are like, I'm paying $100 a year in advance based on Photoshop, like a Photoshop model. So, when I first got the Ninja Turtles, I was like, oh, I'm really excited about these. And then I saw the renderings. I was like, oof, I don't think these are going to be very good. And I was incorrect. And, they came out on the show floor at Comic-Con, and I was like, shit. And then they sold out everywhere. I was lucky enough to get some. But the thing is, like, so sorry, my point being that I do understand if you're spending a lot of money beforehand, why you would be like, maybe, whatever. But people that are just like that Maximum Spider-Man that just came out, that was like pre-orders $50, and they're like, $50 for what? This is just a Marvel Legend. Don't buy it. Shut the fuck up. You don't have to buy it. Nobody's for it. Sold out everywhere. Sold out everywhere, because either people are buying it to resell it when it comes out because they're assholes, or they wanted it and they just wanted clicks.
Yeah.
It's tiring.
Or they don't want to miss out. And that's what I think a lot of these people just don't want to miss out on this. I don't know, man.
It's so tiring, dude.
It's tiring. And that's why I drop my stuff, and then I'm out. See you later.
I'm kind of like that. Yeah. I mean, I support the people that support me, people that were on the stream today. Like, I try to go out and like their stuff and share their stuff. But a lot of times, on Instagram, I drop my photo and I'm like, thanks, thanks. The next day I might jump on, thanks. Here's some photos that I like. But it sucks because people are just so fucking negative all the time.
It's
And
weird,
I get
man.
it.
And
I'm like
yeah,
chronically depressed. I understand.
yeah. I
But
was gonna say, I was thinking that I'm a negative person. I'm not a negative person, right? At all. I like to think of myself as a relatively positive person, but I get it. You know, I can see how some things will leave people jaded, but it's got to be exhausting. Like, if I hated something so much, so consistently, I tell you, man, I just wouldn't do it anymore.
yeah, why be in that world?
There's not much of anything in this world that I would do consistently. The MCU's been around for so long now. There's nothing that in the world that I would do consistently that long and hate it so much. It just
Yeah, you
it
won't
doesn't make sense to me, man.
find your joy's not gonna come back. Just
And
find a different thing.
you can say that, and people always talk about the engagement and the money, but I'm like, I wouldn't work somewhere that long without actively trying to get out of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Actively trying to move around, actively trying to like, or I would walk into like oncoming traffic. I would not be that. To me, just putting that much negativity in the world, in my opinion, is just heartbreaking, and it's just doing a disservice. And I hate to get woo woo on the show, but like putting hate that much hate and that much negativity into the world, um, you know, the whole argument of like some things, everything deserves critiques. These are different conversations, right? We're not
Mhm.
talking about people that just didn't enjoy the movie. We're not talking about people that are critiquing the film fairly. We're talking about the influence that grifters have on the market and the people that
Yeah.
blindly follow them.
Yeah, there was it was something that I always took from art school that I don't not enough people use is like so art is subjective, right? It's all based around opinion. I understand. But when you're in art school and you have to give like valuable constructive criticism, you can't just say I like it, here's or whatever.
That's my opinion. Take it.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty. No. Why? I
Mhm.
liked it because I thought that the action scenes were great. I thought it had an interesting
Exactly.
story structure, except for a few weak points. Um, Overall, I thought it was like a fun continuation to Anthony Mackie's Captain America, whatever.
Mhm.
Whereas some people are like, it's a piece of shit because it didn't do this. That it's like that's not constructive.
Yeah, it
That
didn't deliver on the promises I made up in my head.
yeah. Why didn't they show Steve Rogers in this?
Yeah, the guy that retired. Oh
I
my
don't know.
god.
It's like you said, it's just exhausting. Me and Nicole, and I was pleasantly surprised because I had watched too many reviews and had a few things spoiled for me, and had some uh, a couple of good friends that kind of like, well, they kind of poo pooed on it. So I was like, you know, I hope
Yeah,
that I like it going in. I think that I'll like
yeah.
it.
I
I
didn't want to sway you too much because I knew you were about to see it, but I just had to talk to someone. Like I genuinely thought I was going crazy. I
yeah,
saw like Wonder Woman 84 was rated higher than it.
that's
The
insane.
two movies, you know, you never saw the Morbius or Sony movies. Those movies were rated the same as
I I didn't
the
have to,
Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was rated higher. The Flash was rated higher. Shazam 2 was rated higher. Black Adam was rated higher. Um, which I'll let that one pass. But
like
I was just like, this. I am just like, I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm not trying to stand on the hill and say this is the greatest movie of all time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, what's going on?
yeah, it feels like unwarranted for sure. Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
And if
I
it's
don't.
because he's black, I'm not saying it. Maybe that's like a subconscious thing for. I'll give you guys the benefit of the doubt. But if that's the reason, get over it, man.
Yeah, I know we could continue this into infinity, but I think that
Yeah,
um I don't know if it's that for everybody. I'm sure there's some of that.
it's not. It's not.
And some people even subconsciously, like you said, like they see him as black and so they automatically assume it's a it is someone preaching to them about
it's not for me. Yeah.
about racial tension or something, and that
Yeah.
exists. But I'm not that nobody's
Yes,
saying
man.
that you have to feel that way when you watch this movie.
But if
I
you
think,
do,
yeah,
all's coming from the inside, man.
yeah, that's a good like feel uncomfortable because you should think about it a little bit. But I think what you said at the beginning that a lot of people, may not have seen that's in this stream anymore. But at the beginning, when you say like, shit, I just lost what I was going to say. Oh, like this is Sam Wilson Cap. This is not. I know we're talking about Captain America as a whole character, but this is still, or not even a whole character, but like a representation. But this is not Steve Rogers. He says
a different
it in the
character.
movie.
Yeah.
That they say it in the movie. Like it's the same way when War Machine came in, is like, it's me, deal with it.
Yeah.
Whatever. It is a different person in this persona. So
it's almost it's almost like a different character. It's almost
it is.
It's almost like comparing the Spider-Verse Spider-Man to Peter Parker in a sense.
Yeah.
It's almost like saying, I know there's two different genres of movie, but it's almost like saying, or two different styles of movies, but it's almost like saying, comparing Spider-Verse to Homecoming.
Yeah. Why wasn't Spider-Verse? Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a very extreme. Yeah, I know it's a very more, extreme example, but
people did the same thing about that though. Not my Spider-Man. God, I just get so pissed off about dumb. It's just dumb. It's just dumb shit.
This again to wrap things up. We're circling the drain. We could honestly just do this for an hour. The movie, in our opinion, I think it's good. Simon thinks it's good. It's not great. It's fun. It had, again, for the pure ocean battle scene alone, comic book gold. In my opinion,
it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
It's up there. It might be one of my top 10 MCU moments. Recapping, I made the bold statement that Captain America: Brave New World is a better movie than Wolverine versus Deadpool versus Wolverine. I stand by that.
I'll stand by it.
Yeah, so that's our seal of approval. Listen, go and see it for yourself. Make your own opinion. Honestly, at the end of the day, the people on the internet don't exist, right?
None of us are real.
None of this is real. So go enjoy things that you want to enjoy. And if you don't end up liking it, dang, what's the worst part of it? You went to a movie, you sat down, you relaxed, you might have had some popcorn. Like, yeah, you spent $14, but you waste $14 on like the most random things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You
didn't
get VD. You didn't have
appreciate the context of like being a human with the ability to take 2 hours out of his day to go to a movie. Like the context of your life is more than what's going on with Disney, and there's more to life than that. And I know that's kind of woo, but it's real life. Just figure out if you like it or not. And if you don't like the MCU, guess what? You're not gonna like this movie.
Yeah, you're done. You're done. Like, you're done with the movies. Don't go see any more because you're not gonna like.
Go watch. And I hope that you find a franchise or a movie
that you can really stand behind
and
not get any return from.
That brings you joy. I hope that you find something that brings you joy. It's unfortunate if this wasn't it. Maybe next time. That's all I can say. But probably not. So, Simon, where can the people find you?
Man, you can find me on Instagram, making bold statements through toy photography. Just kidding there, stupid. But I do a lot of toy photography there at Sime_on_toast on Instagram.
And you can find me stirring the pot at Wednesday Pool everywhere.
And you can find me in those comments, dunking.
Yeah, we're like a volleyball team, a two-man volleyball team. I throw it up and Simon brings it home. So
spike it.
That's it. I don't know. I don't know sports ball, man.
Yeah. Wearing our jeans and our aviators out in the sand.
Oh man, we're circling the drain. Thank you guys for coming in on this this weird episode. I promise I will try to get it out before midnight. Which I really am just going to upload it. So,
hey, I think we did a solid job.
I think we did a solid job. It's one of our longer episodes. It's been a while since we've been doing Simon's no structure episodes, and we've just been like, I guess we end it now.
What do you mean my no structure episode?
I'm kidding, man.
No, but they are. It's like whatever conversations.
They've been good. I've been really enjoying them. I don't know when I'm going to post that one from last week. This is Talking Shop. We love you guys. Circling the drain.
Thanks everybody for joining in. By the way, just on the off chance, if you would like to see that, we're usually live by 8-ish o'clock on Wednesdays on YouTube.
Yeah, today we were 8-ish for real.
Like really like close to 8.
It was like 8-ish.
Yeah. Oh man. Taking a
the worst time to take
dead air
water. And this is what you'll get on the live show. So subscribe, Wednesday Toast, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Bye.